Breaking news in the Black Sea. A Ukrainian kamikaze drone turned a Russian landing ship loaded with troops and supplies into scrap metal. Was it a legitimate act to slow down the invasion, or a risky move that could escalate the war to unpredictable levels? Subscribe if you think Ukraine was right to sink that ship, or comment if you believe they crossed a line that could ignite a global fire. Because what you're about to see is not just a simple naval attack. It's proof that drones now rule these waters and that Russia, with all its fleet, has no answer. Stay tuned because this is just beginning. It was September 13, 2025, and Ukraine was seconds away from punching another hole in Russia's Black Sea fleet. The vessel was not on high alert. No zigzagging, no evasive routes, just a slow, shallow approach along the occupied coast, probably loaded with troops and supplies. But the sea was lying. About 30 kilometers offshore, a dark silhouette barely skimmed the surface. No wake, no sound, just pure speed locked on course. It was a Magura V5, the now infamous Ukrainian unmanned surface drone, armed with over 300 kilograms of explosives and programmed for a single mission: hit fast, hit hard, and never return. It tracked the target in real time using infrared sensors. The drone didn't just see the ship, it measured it. Distance, heading, angle of impact, everything calculated mid-run without human intervention. At 5:13, it began the final approach. And then came the strike. A single impact ripped open the side of the landing ship. Seconds later, a second explosion lit up the rear deck. Black smoke rose as the ship bent, burned, and began to split in two. Ukrainian Navy drones recorded every moment. The footage was released that very morning. A short video seen by millions, a smoking hull, twisted metal, flames on the water. The caption was direct: "Enemy landing vessel destroyed near Kherson." But it wasn't just another drone strike. This hit told us three things: how Ukraine now dominates large parts of the Black Sea without surface ships, how vulnerable Russian vessels have become, and why Russia's old naval playbook no longer works. The exact detection time remains classified, but here's what we do know. The Magura V5 had locked onto the Russian ship long before impact. It didn't react. It waited, lurking just outside visual range, hidden by waves and horizon, cruising at high speed close to the waterline. The approach was deliberate. The drone used a low-profile hull and composite materials to stay invisible to radar. Its onboard navigation system constantly adjusted course using satellite feedback and passive sensors. No active emissions, no chance of early warning. By the time it was within 2 kilometers, it switched from stealth mode to final attack. Observers say it lunged at around 70 knots, over 130 kilometers per hour. At that speed, it covers the last mile in under 30 seconds. A Ukrainian drone flying overhead captured the entire sequence. The landing ship steamed forward, unaware. The Magura appeared only an instant before impact. Then flash, explosion, chaos. The hit was low, slightly off-center. That detail matters. That's where troop compartments usually are. If soldiers were on board, they had no chance. The blast created a pressure wave that tore through the armored hull. Secondary explosions, likely from munitions or fuel, amplified the destruction. Within seconds, flames spread across the deck. Life rings and debris were seen floating as the vessel rolled hard to port. And then it simply stopped moving. No return fire, no distress flares, just black smoke rising into the morning air. Ukrainian operators confirmed the kill minutes later via encrypted comms. The Magura, as expected, was lost in the blast. And that's the point. It's a one-way mission, and it delivered. Vice Admiral Oleksiy Neshpapa, commander of the Ukrainian Navy, publicly announced the strike that same day with a brief but clear message. "We destroyed another Black Sea Fleet landing ship moving along the western coast of Kherson region. I thank our sailors for a job well done. Together toward victory." This wasn't just a tactical win. It was a signal. It wasn't the first Russian ship struck by a maritime drone, but it was the cleanest. And Russia had no idea it was coming. It wasn't a cruiser or a missile frigate. It was a landing ship, smaller, lighter, but still dangerous. These ships are built to move troops, armored vehicles, and equipment quickly from ship to shore. In theory, they don't need to fight. They're the muscle behind the front line. But in the wrong place at the wrong time, they become easy prey. Unlike warships with radar, jammers, or close-in weapon systems, this vessel likely had no way to stop what was coming. No CIWS, no anti-drone interceptors, not even decent watchkeeping. When the Magura V5 hit, it didn't just destroy a ship. It disrupted a mission. If it carried troops, they never arrived. If it carried supplies or mobile gear, that cargo now lies at the bottom of the sea or burns with the wreckage. And something else. Every Russian unit in the area saw the column of smoke. And that's a message with no need for translation. The Magura V5 isn't just a piece of tech. It's the reason Ukraine doesn't need big warships to win naval battles. Think of it as a cruise missile on water, roughly the size of a speedboat. It skims just above the surface with a low-visibility, stealthy hull design. There's no one on board, no cockpit, just electronics, sensors, and a warhead. Once launched, it's silent, fast, and extremely hard to stop. And its specs are no joke. Range up to 800 kilometers, top speed over 70 knots, explosive payload around 320 kilograms. Its guidance combines GPS, inertial systems, and live video feed. And comms run via encrypted satellite link or pre-programmed autonomous mode. It's also modular. The warhead can be swapped, sensors upgraded, and software adjusted for different missions, from reconnaissance to direct attack. In some cases, they even carry decoys or jammers to confuse enemy systems. But what makes the Magura V5 especially lethal is how it approaches. It doesn't fly, meaning no airborne radar signature, no overhead trail. It blends with the waves. From a distance, on thermal cameras, it looks like driftwood, until it's too late to stop it. Russian ships built for open-sea combat aren't prepared to detect low-profile targets at sea level. Their radars scan high. Their weapons aim high. The Magura V5 exploits that blind spot to close in, and it doesn't need to survive. It just needs to detonate, and it doesn't hunt alone. Ukraine has perfected tactics where multiple drones, airborne and maritime, work together. One distracts, another finishes. The V5 is often part of that swarm. It's fast, cheap, and brutally effective. Built in secret workshops, controlled from hidden bases, launched from ports, or even civilian trucks. It's everything a conventional Navy hates. Unpredictable, hard to track, and nearly impossible to stop once underway. And in this case, the Magura didn't just hit a ship. It showed once again that drones now dominate these waters. Behind the joystick, or rather the encrypted laptop, was Ukraine's 385th Unmanned Surface Vehicle Brigade. You've probably never heard of them, and that's the point. It's the world's first naval unit made entirely of drone operators. No sailors, no ships, no sonar rooms. Just a network of engineers, technicians, and remote pilots working from bunkers and command centers across Ukraine. They don't sail into danger. They send their machines instead. Formed discreetly under Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate, HUR, the brigade began operations in late 2023 but stayed under the radar, both literally and politically. As the maritime drone war escalated in 2024, this unit became the spearhead. By mid-2025, they were no longer experimental. They were decisive. Every strike mission they launch involves more than just a drone and a target. Teams coordinate satellite reconnaissance, weather models, naval radar blind spots, and Russian communication patterns. Everything is planned down to the meter. That's 3 feet. The Magura V5 that struck the Russian vessel wasn't just fired. It was positioned, guided, and fine-tuned in real time by operators trained in digital warfare on water. These aren't ordinary sailors. Some are programmers. Others, racing drone pilots turned defense contractors. Many come from Ukraine's growing intersection of tech and military. Think less naval uniforms and more hoodies and keyboards, but with lethal precision. And their impact is growing. Every Russian ship moving along the southern coast now has to ask, is the 385th watching us? Because if they are, there might already be a Magura on the way. Invisible, silent, seconds from impact. This wasn't just a tactical win. It was part of a broader, deliberate strategy. Ukraine isn't just trying to damage Russian ships. It's rewriting naval warfare in the Black Sea, and it's succeeding. Since early 2024, Ukraine has launched hundreds of aerial and maritime drone attacks on Crimea, Sevastopol, and occupied coastal areas. The Magura V5 isn't the only tool in play, but it has become the symbol of a new kind of dominance that doesn't depend on frigates or submarines, but on speed, stealth, and software. And the numbers back it up. Between January and May 2025, Ukrainian maritime drone strikes caused over $10 billion in confirmed damage to Russian naval assets. That includes several Raptor-class patrol boats, originally designed for fast coastal surveillance and transport, now reduced to floating wreckage. Also the Ivan Kurs, a naval intelligence ship that played a key role in gathering electronic data and communications. Its loss, a serious blow to Russia's ability to monitor and anticipate enemy moves in the region. And perhaps most emblematic, the Caesar Kunikov, a major landing ship literally torn in two off Crimea's coast. A scene that exposed the vulnerability of large vessels against Ukraine's new generation of maritime drones. The latest destruction near Kherson drives the point home. There is no longer any part of the Black Sea safe for the Russian fleet. Even shallow areas once seen as natural safe zones have turned into death traps. Ukraine's strategy has proven that no ship, no matter its size or role, is exempt from becoming a viable target. Russian forces have lost the ability to operate with the same safety and routine in the southern front. What used to be an almost automatic flow of landing ships and patrols is now a gamble full of risk and uncertainty. Every resupply route planned is under constant threat from Ukrainian drones, which have shown not just efficiency, but unpredictability that completely destabilizes Russian logistics. Even a seemingly simple task, like ferrying a dozen soldiers by sea, has become a dangerous bet. The odds of that small contingent being spotted and attacked en route are too high, forcing Russia to rethink every naval move. As a result, they rely more heavily on land convoys, but those come with their own limits. Slower, more resource-intensive, and far more exposed to Ukrainian aviation and planned ambushes. This has a direct effect on troop morale. Constant uncertainty, the inability to rely on safe routes, and the sense of permanent vulnerability wear down soldiers and officers alike. Knowing that not even a routine transfer can be guaranteed, SAFE creates an atmosphere of psychological strain that erodes confidence in the chain of command and in the fleet's ability to fulfill its strategic role. In other words, it's not just logistics. It's a blow to the morale and perception of invulnerability Russia once projected in the region. At the beginning of September 2025, Russia officially scaled back Navy Day celebrations in St. Petersburg, citing security concerns. But the truth is obvious. A country doesn't cancel a major military holiday unless it knows it can't protect its own coast. This isn't just about Kherson. It's about redefining who controls the water. Ukraine's drone fleet has turned a defensive posture into offensive dominance. Without a navy to match Russia ship for ship, they simply built a different kind of navy, cheaper, faster, and gone after the mission. Old doctrines of hulls, tonnage, and firepower no longer apply. The only question Russia can ask now is, what do we do when the enemy doesn't need ships to sink ours? The wreck still smolders. Russian units near Khan are likely rewriting their transport plans right now, and somewhere inside a concrete bunker, another Magura is being prepped for launch. This won't be the last strike. Ukrainian drone operators now have a proven system and grow bolder with every success. There's talk of heavier payloads, AI-enhanced routes, even drone-to-drone coordination. The ocean no longer belongs to the biggest ship. It belongs to the fastest mind. The message to Moscow is simple. You can't watch every wave. And here's the interesting part. Will Ukraine keep hitting small support vessels like this, slowly bleeding the Russian fleet dry? Or will they aim higher and hunt major warships again. What do you think is the smarter play? Keep hammering soft targets to wear them down, or risk it all on high-value, high-profile kills? And so it ended. A Russian ship reduced to burning scrap, black smoke on the horizon, and a question louder than any explosion. Is this the future of war at sea? A handful of cheap drones humiliating an entire fleet once thought invincible? Subscribe if you believe Ukraine is rewriting history with every strike, or comment if you think this escalation is madness that could drag the whole world into a bigger conflict. Because in the Black Sea, it's no longer the biggest ship that rules. It's the one with the technology, the strategy, and above all, the will to push the button first.